Coming up on World's Greenest Homes. In Washington State, forced to play by the rules, one couple goes green.
Being a conservation area, were there any restrictions?
Well, they have design review guidelines for our home that were this thick.
And in Minnesota, an old house becomes a showcase for new green ideas.
I think also you've had over 4,000 people tour this home in, what, 3 months, 3.5 months? That tells you there's a lot of interest.
I'm Emmanuel Belliveau. Come with me on World's Greenest Homes and see the most extraordinary homes on the planet. Homes that are gorgeous, cool, and green. An hour-and-a-half drive east of Seattle, there's a small mining town that served as a setting for the early 90s television series Northern Exposure. I'm in Roslyn, Washington, in the Cascade Mountain region. Population, 1,000.
Designing your own dream home takes a lot of planning, especially if you want different things. The homeowners we're about to meet wanted the laid-back beauty of the country, but didn't want to be too far away from the city. They wanted to build a house that was as green as possible, but they didn't want to sacrifice style and design.
3.5 miles outside of Roslyn is the 6,000-acre resort town of Suncadia. Suncadia is no ordinary community. They've laid down some pretty tough green building rules. But our homeowners took on the challenge and built an award-winning house with superior insulation, local materials, and eco-friendly finishes.
We wanted to demonstrate that you could have a high-quality home. It wasn't like a grass hut somewhere.
Meet Brenda and Art Nunes. She's a marketing director with an engineering and environmental consulting firm, and he's an investment advisor. They live here with their best friend, Stubbs. The main living area is open concept all the way, with a dining area, a gourmet kitchen, and a 2-story lounge. Upstairs are the bedrooms and the beautiful master bathroom. In total, it's 3,000 square feet.
How are you, Emmanuel?
Brenda Nunes.
Pleased to meet you, real pleasure.
I'm Art.
Art, pleasure meeting you. What a great area.
Is this your first time here?
It is, this is just beautiful. This is a conservation golf resort, is that the idea?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It didn't start out exactly like that, but we saw an opportunity and turned it into a 5-star built green home.
Being a conservation area, were there any restrictions?
It had to blend in with the natural environment. You had to do pretty much native landscaping, but all things we would have wanted to do anyway.
So let's see what makes the outside of this house green. Beautiful stonework. There's a slate.
Thank you. It is actually a Montana stone.
And this is just veneered on the outside.
It's a veneer on the outside, and it's only about an inch thick, and it's machined so the corners look like the standard thickness.
Right.
And the reason you want veneered stone is because you can get the beauty and the durability of natural stone, but transportation costs are much less expensive, as well as the structural engineering.
Right, because you're not carrying around all that weight.
Exactly.
What do you have that's on the outside?
This is a 50-year cedar, natural cedar siding. We will have to maintain it a little bit, but in this climate, it's awesome.
It's very nice. Cedar's a great product as
Cedar
far
is
as
a great-
longevity on the outside. And on the ground, you've got pavers here?
These are porous pavers. If you notice the space between the pavers, when it rains, the groundwater pretty much goes straight into the ground instead of off the site, causing erosion.
And it can penetrate the ground.
Penetrates in the ground, replenishes the aquifer.
To build this house, they cut down only the trees they had to. Better yet, they reused the wood in the construction, like these beautiful cedar deck posts.
Yes, it's very woody in here.
Yeah, much like the exterior, a lot of those trees on site were milled into the post and beam structure in the house.
That's beautiful. Nice to reclaim all that wood, isn't it?
It is. It is.
This is nice.
That is a local artist, and we were able to pick the colors and the pattern, and we just love it. We think it totally fits.
Speaking of recycling, the countertops are made of 85% recycled glass.
And I bet you see last night's beer bottles in there.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's a great product. Keeps the glass at the landfill sites. This is nice. You have more glass back here too?
We do, and this is also made from recycled glass.
Oh, I like it. You can just see the natural striations in it.
It has character.
Yeah, it does. A lot of character.
It has character. It adds dimension.
The stove runs on natural gas, and the appliances are Energy Star rated, including this 2-drawer dishwasher. If you have a small load, you only use 1 drawer.
What is this?
That is a bronze sink. Metal products over the years are constantly recycled, and this is a family-owned business made this, and we just love it. The cabinets have a story. The cabinets are local from Portland, and they're made without any VOCs.
And these are solid wood cabinets as well.
They are solid wood cabinets.
What kind of wood is it?
Alder?
Alder is a fast-growing, therefore highly renewable member of the birch family.
What kind of wood do you have on the floor?
This is Australian chestnut floor, and it's reclaimed from an FSC certified source.
I like the wide planks.
I do too.
We've just seen the dining room and kitchen. Now we're headed to the living room.
Oh, that's a nice big fireplace. That's what I call a focal point.
That is a focal point.
It's huge. Is this the same stone you have outside?
It is the same stone, and because it's a veneer, we did not have to go through a structural engineer like you'd have to do for a fireplace of that size.
The gas fireplace is super efficient with outdoor air intakes, so you're not drawing air from inside the house.
What's this over here?
This is what we call a smart home control system. It controls all the major heating and ventilation system and the security system from anywhere in the home or off-site via the internet.
So you get your humidity rating, the temperature in the house right now, you can cool it down. You have radiant floor in here, so you can turn your radiant floor off and on.
Yeah, we do have different zones in the house. A major zone here, all the bedrooms have separate zones.
And that's a super efficient way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Heat the spaces that people are actually in,
Yep.
and the spaces that people aren't in, you can let it just do its own thing.
Absolutely.
Art and Brenda claim in the winter, they save as much as $400 to $500 a month on their heating bills, compared to similar-sized homes with more traditional heating and cooling. But that's not the whole story. What makes this home super energy efficient is in its construction. For that, we head to the basement.
As you know, we have a 5-star rating for this house, and one of the basis of a 5-star rating is having a very tight house, very efficiently built house. And keys to the foundation of this house are the use of ICF blocks and spray and insulation cone isonine.
Isonine is a non-toxic organic byproduct of the petroleum industry. ICF blocks, or insulated concrete forms, are used in the construction of exterior walls.
So you've sprayed your floors, you've sprayed your walls. Did you
Yes.
spray your attics as well?
Absolutely, and it has some good qualities to it. It expands, so it fills in all the cracks. It acts as a soundproofer, and it prevents mold from forming in the walls.
Great, and of course, if it's preventing all that leaking, which means it's making this house more efficient, which makes you happy.
That's right. Keeps the heating bill down.
You know, I've had a chance to see ICF blocks before, but I always see the foam on the outside. I've never had a chance to see the cross section, and this is great. We get a chance to see the cross section right there on that piece that's sitting down. I'm assuming that was cut out of this hole at one point.
Yes, yes.
Here's our concrete here, and here's your styrofoam, and here's the structural pieces that hold the styrofoam together before you pour your concrete. And what's great about these ICF blocks is that, you know, it's easy to put together, so you can shape your foundation in a day. You pour it, and once it's hardened, you've got a solid foundation, and you've got insulation on the inside and the outside.
And it cuts the labor costs down.
And that makes you a happy man, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, it's up to the second floor, where we find the sleeping quarters.
I like this. It's nice and open up here.
Thank you.
Those north-facing double-glazed windows look out onto one of Suncadia's golf courses.
That is the lucky 13th hole.
Oh, this is a very nice room.
This has got to be my favorite bedroom in the house.
It seems very calming in here.
It's peaceful. Art was really adamant that we put in this window. It was not in the original drawing, and it just adds so much light, and it's all indirect light.
Yeah.
It just makes the room feel bigger.
This floor looks like leather. What is it?
It is cork.
This really looks like leather. What a great application of cork.
It is fabulous. It's got to be one of my favorite treatments.
Next door is the bathroom.
This is a nice tub.
It is a recycled copper tub.
Copper.
Copper.
Copper's getting expensive these days.
It is. It heats up really quickly. It's pretty decadent.
And it's very deep.
It is very
deep. Where'd you find this?
We found it in downtown Seattle.
Okay, so it's an off-the-shelf thing, wasn't custom built for you?
No, it wasn't. It was off the shelf.
I want to ask you about these doors. They're stunning, they're beautiful doors. What is this?
Naughty alder.
And this is the same alder you've used in the kitchen cabinets?
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that when we were kids, they'd throw it out. Alder was a weed. It grows so fast. It's incredibly sustainable.
Art and Brenda had to build this home to some tough green standards, but they went all out green, and it's paid off in high marks and high standards and low energy costs. Happily, my tour ends in Brenda and Art's basement wine cellar.
So here's to a 5-star rated home. Congratulations. Our next homeowner had something to prove. Could you take a house in a typical suburban tear-down neighborhood and remodel it using green technologies and make it a great place to live? Well, he found an ordinary post-war rambler in the American Midwest and got to work. The result is award-winning.
8 miles west of Minneapolis, there's an upscale suburban neighborhood known for its beautiful lakes and rivers. We're in the city of Minnetonka, Minnesota, a 20-minute drive west of Minneapolis. Talk about green. This house pushes green to the extreme. In 18 months, this traditional all-American 1940s Rambler was transformed into an award-winning super green energy-saving remodel. Called a sustainable house, this home is loaded with almost every possible green feature you could imagine. Peter Lytle is the executive director of an organization that promotes green building. He lives here with his wife Vivian, their daughter Caitlin, and their short-legged friends Ollie and Upa.
In 2007, we took it upon ourselves to remodel this home, keeping most of the features of the home, but we wanted to add some aesthetic aspects to the home that were very important to us. Ultimately, our goal was to have a home that had a lot of appeal and it would last a long time.
On the main level, there's an open concept great room with a living area, a kitchen, and dining area. Behind the living room, there's the master bedroom and master bath. At the opposite side of the house, there's another bedroom. Downstairs, on the basement level, there's a media room and home office. This home's green story begins outside.
Just as important as your construction on your house is, so is your landscaping. If you take a look at our yard, you're going to see a lot of mulch. One of the things we want to do is we want to reduce our use of water. So our mulch is protecting the water that we're putting on our yard. We also have something that's very unique here, and this is our cistern. And these cisterns hold over 3,000 gallons of water, which we collect from our roof. And then we use this in a drip tube irrigation system to take care of all of our plants. Yeah, the average home in Minnesota is going to lose about 58,000 gallons of water off the roof, off the yard. It's going to flow down into the streets. With it, it's going to take all the pollutants, and that's all going to run down into our lake, polluting our aquifers.
Indoors has undergone a stunning change in layout. Where once there were walls, there is now one big great room.
This part of the floor has oak, which came out of a home that was going to a landfill. So we have a piece of flooring here that came out of an old gymnasium, and this is birch. And we matched this up with flooring that came out of the original house that we jigsaw puzzled back together, and that's maple. Usually we think about just having one wood everywhere. You know, that's not as fun as having multiple different woods, and they all have history to them. The flooring in here has the history of the house it came from. Gosh knows how many people played basketball on this as kids. That's great, don't you think?
The fireplace has also undergone a big change. It used to be part of the outside wall.
And to make it more energy efficient, what we did is we brought the fireplace inside the house by adding an addition around it. So we don't have the cold air radiating into the house from the stone. We also converted it from a wood-burning fireplace to a closed combustion gas system, which means we don't have all the particulates and the fumes rolling into the house. They can take virtually any fireplace today and they can convert it from wood burning to a closed combustion gas system.
Now it's on to the kitchen, featuring countertops made from locally sourced quartz, the most plentiful mineral on Earth.
The backsplash is one of my favorite elements in the kitchen. Is all recycled glass. And during the day, it really doesn't do justice. At nighttime, it just glows.
These woods are all FSC certified woods, which means they're coming from forests that are environmentally protected.
FSC stands for Forest Stewardship Council, an international organization which encourages the use of sustainable timber.
We also don't use any urea-based formaldehydes in any of our glues or paints, so there are no melamines, which means we don't have an off-gassing process that tends to get homeowners sick. When a home is sustainable, it generally tends to be very, very tight shell or an envelope. You have to be very conscious of the indoor environmental air quality. You may be forced to do them on a custom basis, so they will be a little more expensive. They'll probably last longer, and when you sell your house, the probability is you're going to get that investment back.
All of the appliances are Energy Star rated, including this magnetic induction cooktop, which heats only the pot and not the kitchen.
It's quick to heat like gas, it's easy to keep clean, and it's very safe.
I think another thing that's pretty cool about it is we're going to turn it on. If I put my hand on it, I'm not going to get burnt. Only if I put a metal pan on this is it going to get hot. And I can boil water in about 90 seconds. If we take this off, you know, that's still cool to touch.
We've seen the great room on the main floor. Now we're headed to the guest bedroom.
A very important aspect of having a sustainable home is making sure that you have a good window. And a common feature with all of the rooms in the home is that we have triple glaze, argon-filled windows that have a low E coating on them.
Low E stands for low emissivity. That means the coating prevents heat loss in the winter and rooms getting too hot in the summer.
We also have an insulating blind on virtually every window. It's extremely important when you look at the windows in your house to make sure some are high and some open low, because hot air rises and you want that hot air to move out of the house.
All the paints are low volatile organic compounds, and Peter and Vivian take great care with all the materials that go into their home.
We try and take all of our mattresses, make sure that they don't have a lot of foams in them that are going to gas off, and the same thing with any carpeting that you see in the house. Very, very cautious about bringing elements into the house that would be considered toxins. The thing that most people don't realize is the air in their homes are far more polluted than the air outside. So if you're going to have a green, sustainable home, just make sure you're not bringing things into the house that you're going to breathe that are going to make you sick, whether it's the sheets on the beds, whether it's the cushions on your couch, or whether it's the paint in your walls.
In behind the kitchen and dining area, there's a rather high-tech bathroom.
The technology in a bathroom is a very important part of a green home because we use so much water. This is ultimately where we can conserve water. You can have toilets that have dual flush, one flush for fluids, second flush for solids. You have the ability to manage the water in your faucets. In this case, these faucets will run only when you put your hand underneath. And if you take a look at our fixtures, you'll see they look pretty snazzy, but they're actually low-flow fixtures. They use a very, very small amount of water. We infuse air, so we get a sense of much more water. So one of the things everybody asks me is there a computer on this toilet? There are two of them. First one is right here. It'll wash you off and dry you off, which is important, especially if you have arthritis, but it also is tied into the internet. You can put a biosensor on this toilet, so if you have diabetes or you have other kinds of ailments, it'll actually do a urinalysis and send that information on a daily basis back to your physician.
Next to the bathroom is the master bedroom, another room that's come a long way from its 1940s design.
It's a very comfortable, soothing area in our house, and it's very airy with lots of natural light,
Light's an important part of any of our house because the more light we can bring in, the less light we need from artificial sources. This room has one other thing that's very, very important, and that's the soffit system, which we call an energy heel. When a ceiling comes down and it meets a wall, there's very little insulation. It's a place where you lose a lot of heat. So by putting in a soffit and insulating it, you're actually going to conserve a fair amount of heat in your house. They don't cost a lot to put on your house, and they're actually going to pay themselves back by just energy savings within a few years.
Downstairs, on the basement level, there's a media room.
On the other side of this wall, or the guts of this house, that's our technology room. Let me take you in and show you. All homes have hundreds of computers in them. We've centralized our computers here. They will monitor everything from the gases in the house to the humidity and the temperature of the house. They also help us control our energy consumption. There obviously are some costs associated with computerizing your house, but home automation will actually save you a fair amount of energy. You can computerize any home. The systems that are out there today are pretty easy to install.
Outdoors, at the side of the house, is where we find one of Peter's favorite green features.
This is probably one of the most exciting parts of this house. It's low tech, but at the same time it does some really great stuff. These are called permeable pavers. There's a layer of gravel, there's a layer of sand, and then the blocks are hand placed over the top. So it does take a little more effort, but anybody can do it. When the water hits this, instead of flowing out into the street, it goes straight down through these pavers. But what's really great about it is in the winter, it picks up all the heat from the sun, and because of the thermal mass below it, it melts the ice, and we're virtually snow-free with very little shoveling. That's why I think it's so great. I love this driveway.
Outside the front door, Peter taps into another source for energy savings.
Directly below our front walkway, we have 4 geothermal wells. They're 135 feet deep, where our core temperature of our earth is 55 degrees, and we can pull off either as much heat or coolness as we need to manage our house. You bring a drilling rig in, you drill your wells, you then use a closed loop system, and you bring a fluid from a heat pump in your house out to your wells, you circulate it up and back down and into your house, and then you either extract the coolness or you extract the heat. It has a payback in our case of probably about 10 years, and for an installation it was probably about $17,000. The main feature in the back of the house that becomes very evident to all of our visitors are 2 different kinds of solar panels. The first one, our photovoltaics, allow us to power all the lights in our home, and our second, which is our solar hot water panels, allow us to generate about 90% of the heat that we need for all of the hot water in the house. It is expensive to put in photovoltaics, and they will have a payback period that could be 15 to even as far out as 20 years. A very, very good payback, however, is on our solar hot water heat, and that will have a payback in as few as 4 years.
It was an ambitious undertaking. Turn a post-war bungalow into an energy-efficient, environmentally healthy, and comfortable home. Yet, Peter and Vivian proved you don't have to start new to create a super stylish green home.
This was a complex project. There was a lot of debate. What's green, what's not green, what's sustainable, what's best for the environment. It's very, very complex.
What I found surprising is that living green is very easy in this house.
I do it over and over and over.